Good evening and welcome to the NDTV Dialogues. Every week, this show will look at a conversation of ideas, at issues that don't feature in our political or even our media discourse. Tonight on the NDTV Dialogue, we look at Bharat versus India. How do we bridge a growing divide? This, as new data revealed by the government, points to the fact that the gap between the rich and the poor in India is widening. The rich are getting richer at a much faster rate. The poor are getting a bit richer, but the growth rate is very, very different. Also consider this fact. India is home to 1/3 of the world's poor. Yet, we also have over 50 people on the Forbes billionaires list with a worth of $194 billion. How do we reconcile these contradictions? How do we actually bridge this divide? Joining me on this tonight, three people who don't often sit around the same table and discuss ideas: Naina Lal Kidwai, Aruna Roy, and Professor Dipankar Gupta. Thank you all very much for coming in this evening. Ms. Kidwai, you and a host of industry leaders met with the Prime Minister. You discussed the economy, the state of the Indian rupee, the current account deficit. Yet often at meetings like these, where really India's biggest business leaders, industry minds are there, the issues that don't come up are issues which I just referred to in my introduction. How do we actually bring more people out of poverty? How do we look at creating infrastructure for providing more jobs? Why does the discourse often seem one-sided?
Well, I don't know if you would say that it's one-sided, in that at this session, one of the key threads for discussion was jobs. And I would say if the dialogue was around job creation, there is a meeting of minds no matter what. Because at one end, and if you recall the sort of the 4 points that the PM, that the Prime Minister wanted to have the discussion on, one of them was on skills. So there was a fair amount of dialogue on the skills program, and the fact that it's a great agenda, but as you know, the implementation is not easy, and I don't think that it's actually picked up the pace it should. So when we're talking of vocational skilling, it's with a view to provide skills which industry can use as well. And there is a shortage. The sad thing is, in today's environment, there is a shortage of skilled workers. And it's not just construction workers. It can be crane operators. It can be at various levels of skilling, which industry is not being able to find for the love of money. The interesting thing is they're prepared to pay. There is, of course, a big wail about the fact that prices have gone up. And yes, that is so. But the other end is, for industry that is prepared to pay, there is a shortage. So what we need to look at is this so-called demographic dividend, which is important for India. At the end of the day, should be one where we can provide the jobs and indeed people who are skilled to do those jobs. And if the dialogue were lifted to that, and I'm really glad that the Economic Survey this year, for the first time, set this out. It was a whole chapter on the area of jobs employment. I think we would see that meeting of minds.
I just want to bring in Aruna Roy on that point and perhaps pose the question from a slightly different perspective. Some of the arguments against activists as well is that the list of demands from the government is a long one, but no one really looks at the point of where the money for this will come from, that perhaps we should be looking at more of a partnership between different sectors of society, that perhaps industry would be one area where you can look at job creation. Now, there's been a lot of criticism of the government's rural jobs program. Naina Lal Kidwai has talked about looking at, they want workers, but they don't have skilled workers. They don't have workers they can hire because they don't have the skills. What's your perspective, and why do you think it's the government's job to be giving jobs?
I'm going to talk from my own paradigm, and I'm not going to get caught in Naina's. But I will respond to some of the things she says. And this is the eternal predicament of Bharat. The paradigm is defined by India, and we have to discuss within that paradigm. We can't go beyond that paradigm to state what we see as the truth. So though I respect what Naina has said, but I'm going to speak from the perspective that I have of the life I've led for the last 40 years with people. The first predicament is that the idea of Bharat is just an idea. Nobody really understands the socio-political and economic environment of how things operate. Some things may be fantastic on paper, but when you put it on ground, there are a million problems. So I think the first thing to understand is that the operational management of India and Bharat sometimes cannot be the same. So a collector and a Deputy Secretary to the Government of India functions very differently. Yes, yes. So if you look at the functionalities of government and of functioning, even of industry within a rural area, I think there are parameters in which the people would see it very differently. I would pose the question quite differently. I would say that when I went to rural Rajasthan, it's true of most of India now, there was 3, 4, 5% people who had become graduates. Today you have in the village a phenomenal number of young people who've got some kind of professional degree. They may be fitters, they may be computer operators, they've got degrees to teach. They are getting into the professional line, and 90% of them are jobless. So why are we training anybody? Why are we giving them skills? Why aren't we thinking of absorbing the unemployed? In fact, I fear that if unemployment is an issue at the rate at which it is in rural India today, you're going to have to face serious social problems. So I would posit it the other way. Let's look at what we have as human resource. Let's look at the skills we have today. And let's ask ourselves the question, why are we not using them? This is about the younger generation, which is now going to school, going to university, getting skilled. But there is the elderly, who are not going to get skilled now. There's longevity. We are living beyond 60. We are now living into our late 70s, sometimes into our 80s. We have a skill which you don't recognize, which is that we are very good with implements of construction, of digging, of agriculture, of so many things which you disregard. You don't even see them as a skill. You call us unskilled workers.